Well, thank you, and welcome once again to Where Are They Now? We're back after a week off on that. I think we had a little bit of a schedule situation a week ago. I missed these get-togethers, and as we've been previewing, we're going to take it up to Ponca City, and a good friend of mine, Ponca City head coach, but Scott Harmon, former Cowboy, secondary captain, and guy who was as feisty as they could find when he was playing here at Oklahoma State, but also, and here, isn't this crazy, Harmon, how I'm going to refer to you now? Also, the high school coach of Xavier Collins, who just happened to be the best defensive player in the country.
Yes, it's amazing what he's done this season. He's made so many plays and in big moments that, you know, when you're the National Football Player of the Year, it's pretty amazing.
What was he like? I know it's kind of a legendary type story. It's been said a million times. Coming out of Hominy, he was a quarterback, and now blah, blah, blah. But what was he like in high school?
You know, when he was a freshman, I remember him. He was I knew his daddy real well, his biological father, so I knew, what we were dealing with. He had good bloodlines. He was going to be a great kid. I knew him growing up and everything. But when he was a freshman, he hurt himself early in two-a-days, and he really didn't get to play until we were over at Morrison one Friday evening, and Coach Bales decided to put it on us pretty good. And I remember Xavier coming over with big old alligator tears in his eyes and telling me how sorry he was. And I told him, I said, son, it's going to be all right. You know what I mean? These old kids got hair on their face, and they're really tough kids. And he was just I bet he wasn't 13 or 14 years old, and I kind of felt bad for him because he was having to play against some grown men that night. So Xavier's he's a good kid. When we decided to move him to quarterback, it kind of lit a fire in his tail, and it's something I don't think that has ever really stopped. He's just really got great work ethic, and he puts a lot into his craft, what he's doing.
How big did he actually get at Hominy when he was a quarterback? I mean, we see him now at Tulsa, my goodness, and it looks like he might have put on 100 pounds. But what was he like as a quarterback at Hominy?
He was about 6'3", maybe just a hair over, 6'3 and a quarter, and he was about 218 to 220, just a raw young kid. You know, he was, when he was a junior, he was playing football when he was 16 years old, and I thought to myself, oh, my goodness, you know what I mean? This guy's just, when he's 21, it's going to be scary, and that's how old he is now. He's 21 years old, and, you know, I kind of saw it, but, you know, it was kind of tough to portray it because a lot of people really don't trust the small school football, you know, even though Homony's got a really good record of people coming out of there and playing, you know, immediately. But he was just one of those kids that kind of slid through the cracks, and then when somebody offered him, he jumped on it, and then he really didn't. He's never really looked back.
Yeah, we're all experts, hindsight, 2020 and all that stuff. But, you know, you have to wonder now as you look at the situation that has it's developed. Here's the defensive player of in the country on the college level. As I understand it, the major schools didn't come banging on his door to recruit him, right?
Oh, no. Well, I wrote a letter. He and his mother went to every, you know, one-day camp within the area. We were just, we were getting frustrated with the process because I just didn't fall out, the dang turnip truck the other day. You know, I know what it takes to play college football. I know this kid's bloodlines. I was like, guys, you know, this kid's 17 years old. He's going to be a man-child here in 3 or 4 years. You know, he's going to be able to help somebody, and we just couldn't get anybody to bite. And to be honest with you, it was old Bill Young that came to a spring practice in Hominy, and Xavier didn't have his best day. Coach Green got on him quite a bit, really hard during that day, and I was like, man, that wasn't Xavier's best showing. But Bill saw something in him too, and it wasn't long, and they kind of had a little bit of a relationship and had him invited into a camp and offered him the day he was there.
Have you heard from either former teammates or coaches now, or just basically coaches in general, who kind of on the side have said, hey, Scott, you know, we wish we had seen him and seen this potential way back when?
I heard from Josh Henson the other day.
Okay, that's one.
Yeah, no, I'm just to be honest with you. Josh and I played together. I heard from Josh, and he asked me, he's like, "Is that the kid that I tried to get them to, look at linebacker?" And I was like, "Yes, it was. That's him." It just is what it is. I think there's a kid at Las Vegas right now who, is a very similar type kid. He had, he had one really good season there at McLean, and he's one of the best backs in the NFL. Zaven had to go prove himself because he was from a smaller school. He did that. He did that in spades. My deal, I'm worried for him. I hope that that he stays up in the top half of the first round or the second half of the first round and gets to go to somebody that can utilize his talents as well as the staff at TU did, because they did a really good job of putting him in some spots to make some plays.
Now, Collins, if he was sitting here listening to us, it's like when you when you have kids and you're talking to people. I remember when Johnny was 5 years old and he did this. So Collins probably would say, "Hey, I'm not that young now." But take us back to when he was, walking the hallways there at Hominy High School. Good student, got along with teachers, got along with counselors.
Oh, David's a great. He is a first-class individual. He was our valedictorian. A lot of people don't know this, but when Zaven was a senior, I was his principal and his head football coach. So we spent a lot of time together. He's the valedictorian. He's a smart kid. He's got his ducks in a row. I think he's only a couple of classes short of graduating as a redshirt junior at the University of Tulsa. And when we talked about it, I said, "Hey, Zaven, a degree out of the University of Tulsa is, worth everything you can do. So at the worst, you come out of there with a really good, career." So Zaven's got a good head on his shoulders. He's progressed. They've done a good job. The thing about Zaven that shocked me a little bit is, man, he made some plays in there this year that kind of stand out from other kids. You know what I mean? He made some plays in the heat when it counted and won some games. I mean, when you're a linebacker and you're in the top 7 in the Heisman voting, you know what I mean? That's saying quite a bit.
You look back on his football days in high school. Was there a game as his head coach now? And this is a great story that you want to tell because this is where he'd be rolling his eyes, I'm sure. But where you came back and you go, I'm not sure that this is my quarterback. I'm not sure that this is the guy who's going to take us where we want to go.
Oh, yeah. That was his defining moment, actually. We were in the semifinals his junior year in 2015. We were playing a really good Stratford team. The best two teams were in the same side of the bracket, so whoever won this game was going to win the state championship. And Zaven didn't have a very good game. Zaven threw 4 or 5 picks. I'm not for sure. We got our face smashed in. It was just a miserable day. And when we got back, Homony's a tough place to coach. You know what I mean? Everybody in Hominy knows a little bit more football than you do. They've got a lot of kids that's come through there that have played upper level football. So, it's a tough place to coach. And there was a lot of heat on he and I both when we got in there because, to be honest with you, we underachieved that game. We didn't do very well. And a lot of it was on Zaven. And I didn't want to say anything. I know, hey, we had some guys open. We had, things of that nature. He just didn't play very well. But when he got back, he stood up in front of the whole team, and he owned it. You know what I mean? And so, boy, that was kind of a big moment for me. I was like, this kid gets it. So I knew going into his senior year we were going to win it. And I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't think anybody would be very close, and they weren't. So everything that I need to know about that boy came out in a kind of like a closed doors meeting with about 40 kids and 40 coaches in a little old tore down football locker room in Hominy, Oklahoma. I knew what was going to come after that.
Did he play any other sports?
Played them all. He was a basketball, baseball, track. He could do anything. He was a gymnast as a young kid. Zaven Saban's an athlete. You know, that's the one thing I'll give Omni when they come out of there. Most of those kids play multiple sports, and when they come out of there, they, you know, I don't know too many kids out of Omni that have went on to Division I schools and not been real productive for some reason. You know, Charlie Higgins was the one before Zaven. You know, I give Mike a hard time when I see him because Mike was calling plays at OSU when I was a redshirt senior, helping in the coaching staff, and they asked me about Charlie Higgins, what kind of football player he was, and I said he's not quite as good a football player as I was, but he was a way better athlete. And they didn't end up offering Charlie. He went to TU, and he was a WAC freshman of the year and all that. And then I thought, you know, when Zaven come out with his pedigree and things of that nature, I thought they really might come on him, but they didn't. And, you know, I get it. They get a lot of other athletes in there, but, looking back on it, I think OU, I think OSU, I think Arkansas, all these teams in the area, you know, they're going to have to start looking at some of these smaller school kids because they can get it done.
Any other school kind of tempt him a little bit toward the end? You mentioned Bill Young, and he probably had the good relationship there, but did anybody try to come in late on any level to get him?
Oh, yeah. You know, I actually met the Jelani Woods kid when we went down on a visit one weekend, and that's where Mike was kind of seeing Zaven. He wanted him as a Cowboy back. I don't think he was, you know, top in their list because he wasn't a Cowboy back. He was a quarterback. You know, a lot of people thought, you know, Zaven wanted to go play quarterback, and Zaven just wanted a Division I scholarship. I told him, I said, Zaven, you're not a Division I quarterback. I said, you're a Division I athlete. You're a Division I football player, but you're going to play something else besides quarterback. And he had invested so much time and effort into the quarterback spot that was kind of hard for him to buy into at first. But, man, I was like, man, there's not too many, you know, 6'5", 6'4.5", 265-pound quarterbacks out there. You know, Cam Newton maybe. But,
yeah, I was going to say other than that.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, man, I've been a quarterback in high school and then go play a different position in college, a free safety and stuff. It's way better being the hitter than the hittee. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's you, Harmon. That's you to a T right there. If people want to know what Scott Harmon's like, I think he just described himself right there. The hittee and the hitter right there. Look at his career at Tulsa. And I don't know that he exploded on the scene because I'm sure you followed his progress pretty closely and maybe aren't as surprised. But it just seemed like overnight, just to the general public, the name became somebody you wanted to see, you wanted to watch play.
Oh, yeah. You know, I mean, when he was a redshirt sophomore, and he texted me, we stayed, you know, we communicate via text quite a bit. He told me, he said, Coach, you know, it's starting to slow down for me. I think they got me in the right spot. And, you know, he had a pretty productive junior year, or I say redshirt sophomore year. And then, you know, going into this year, man, it just seemed like he made so many critical plays in big-time situations. And, you know, when on national TV and things of that nature, everything fell right into place for him. And that's rare that happens, you know what I mean? Everything good that could have happened for Zaven. You know, Zaven fought through some injuries there late in the year, didn't play real healthy in the last game. That's kind of one of the reasons I think he kind of chose not to play in the bowl game and get ready for the draft. But, you know, he just made so many plays. I was like, oh, I'm not for sure. I don't know how somebody beat him out at linebacker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're the best player in the nation, it's tough to be the second best linebacker.
And he's a good story on a good story. I mean, Tulsa, with all the games that they had postponed, canceled, every time they started to get ready to play, this happened and that happened. They lost that heartbreaker at Cincinnati, but a good story all the way around there.
Yeah, if I was, you know, the president of the University of Tulsa, I'd be hustling around to get that guy into an extension or something, because doing that at the University of Tulsa is pretty tough to do.
I'm sure you tuned in on the Cheez-It Bowl yesterday afternoon, and Back and forth we went. Looked like it was going to be a laugher right off the bat, and it was anything but that in the last 4 minutes of the game. But if you didn't care which team won, and that's not true with you and I talking, but if you're just watching the game in Montana, you watched a heck of a game.
Yeah, you got to be who you're really impressed with is the young man that came in behind the starter for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who had played a few games, and then the transfer comes in and gets the job and everything. This kid come in and played lights out and actually carried them and got them back into the ball game. So I was really impressed with him. You
can't play or coach scared. I learned that early on, and I understand it's a business, and kids have to look at their future, and they have to make decisions accordingly. But you saw King go down like he did. You talk about a reinforcing shot of, hey, this is why I'm not playing kind of a thing. It takes something like that to get your attention, I think.
Well, and like I say, Mike catches a lot of heat from both sides, you know what I mean? And I'm with Mike on that deal. Hey, man, you're not going back in on this one. And that's what I told David when I found out that he wasn't going to play in the bowl game. And that's a big deal. That I was at OSU 4 years, and we never played in a bowl game. I don't think he's ever played in a bowl game. So that's a big deal, turning that down, especially for a small school athlete that, you know what I mean? He made the right decision. It's a tough one, but, you're talking about family security for quite a little while. You know what I mean? He gets drafted in the top, round. His old signing bonus will make a lot of people's salary look pretty chump changes. You know what I mean?
Well, that'd be good for him for sure. In the time we have left, how are things going up there for the former captain here at Oklahoma State? How is it going up in Ponca City?
Good. Got a good staff up here. I really like these guys that we go to work hard. We got 2 or 3 bunches in a row that'll give us the chance to win some ball games. COVID kind of got us a little bit this year, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for COVID, I think we would have been right around there about 500 where we were last year. So, but we ended up, I think it was 3-6, and went and played in the playoff game. We didn't have, I think we were down 29 kids, but we went ahead and went and played because we wanted that playoff experience for the kids that could. Dale City kind of handed it to us, but it's good. It's good for us. We've got this thing turned around. We're headed in the right direction. I think we're fixing to pass another little bond issue to get an indoor facility and do some things up here that will keep us headed in the right direction in Ponca City.
You got a chance to see Presley up close and personal when he was in high school. That guy's unbelievable.
Talked to the brother this year quite a bit too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the brother too. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it when you had to go against the one that's here right now? You got a chance to see him break out last night. I guess he did that every game pretty much with Bixby.
He is, in high school, he was a difference maker. When we play Bixby, it's one of the things that we do, our kind of system. We slow that thing down to a snail's pace, Just like this year, they were only up 24-0 on us at half, and I think it kind of makes them mad a little bit. They get to go in and make some adjustments and yell and scream at them instead of being up 50-0 like they normally are. So, yeah, we do little bitty things like that, but he and his brother are special athletes, and I sure hope his little brother goes to OSU too.
I made a comment. He's got tremendous speed. There's no question about that. But his start, from 0 to 100 miles an hour, it doesn't take long to get there. And very few guys can do what he does, catching it and then taking off and running off and leaving you.
No, it kind of reminds me of Raphael a little bit.
Yeah,
the little kids that come in there when we were there, so fast, do a little bit of things, just not very big, tough, run in between the tackles, can split him out, throw him the football. So, him and his brother are very similar. I hope OSU offers those kids because I think they're the kind of kids that we need to keep in Oklahoma and playing for, Oklahoma schools.
What was going through your mind when they were creeping back into the game? They being Miami. Holy cow.
I get nervous. Yeah, it's one. I want my folks to do well, whatever's happening. So, the defense. The one thing that crept into my mind a little bit was as we were getting just a hair conservative on the offensive side of the ball compared to where we were. I think he opened up like 13 for 15. I was like, man, where's this going? So,
Yeah.
and I'm a run the ball first guy, so it was, it's kind of a 6 to 1 or half a dozen to the other for me. But I was glad they come out with a win.
It was good that I was going to talk to you today because on those last 2 drives, probably, I don't know how many snaps they had on those drives, maybe 8 or 9. They being Miami and didn't go anywhere. We turned them back each time. But there were about 4 passes that the secondary just knocked the ball loose from the receiver. And I was thinking of you, Harmon. I mean, you had to be smiling on those because, yeah, they might have it, but, if it falls out of their hands, that official just weighs it off, so that's incomplete right there.
They're pretty good in the secondary. We've got that guy from Duke that's come in has really done a good job. I think the longer we stay with him and the more he kind of recruits his style of kids that can help him back in there, the better off we'll be. So I hope they keep him around and let him do what he's doing because they sure were pretty good defensively this year.
Yeah, there's no question. And having a guy like Sterling and Rodriguez declare they're coming back, which is great.
Yes.
I mean, those are your anchors right there. Although I always have to say I'm glad Malcolm's here, but we couldn't get him on the ground when I was at Coweta. We couldn't get him on the ground with 20 guys. We could have had 20 guys on the field and still couldn't get him on the ground.
Yeah, that's what he's the type of kids that, in Oklahoma, that if we keep them around, I think they can keep us competitive and we don't have to go watch those kids go off to other schools and other conferences. We can keep them around here and keep them at home.
That's a good way to go out right there. Hey, Scott, I always appreciate your time, but it's good. We could go on forever, and we got all kinds of stories we could tell. Some are true.
Well, Tom, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man. Let me know if you need anything else.
I would say some are true, some aren't, but that's okay. Only you and I know the difference.
We'll keep those to ourselves.
We need to stay on the air. All right, big man. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, man. Scott Harmon, who was just as a matter of going back, I remember the name. Well, he was the Tulsa World All-State defensive back in '89.